The elk arrived 12 years ago on May 3rd, 1995. They were held in an acclimation pen for 2 weeks and then released to the wild about 3-4 miles south of Clam Lake on the National Forest, and the acclimation pen was located on the Elf Line. Since that time, we had a slow, stalled start because of severe winters and also some problems with less than mature bulls being out and being the only males in the population. So we didn't really get started in terms of productivity in the herd until 1997. Then from 1997 to 2003, the herd was growing at about 15 to 25% per year. Right around 2003, we started seeing some problems associated with some feeding activities and some habituation of elk during the winter to people in the Clam Lake area. And from 2003 to 2006, we saw a steep reduction in the productivity of the herd during that period. This last elk year, we grew again at 13%. And that was because we worked with the local folks. We corrected some of the issues that were happening with the habituation and the feeding. And then also we worked with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, the Sawyer County and Ashland County Highway and Sheriff's Departments, and the Wisconsin State Patrol, and on a particular project trying to focus on reducing vehicle collisions. We have had 21 verified elk vehicle collisions that have resulted in 18 dead elk. And some of the things that we've done is to make the elk more visible. We have gone to a radio collar, and we try to have about half of the herd radio collared. Right now we have about 73 radio collared animals. And with a grant from the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation and with state monies and with guidance from the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, we installed this system again in this area where we've identified as having the greatest risk of elk vehicle collisions, a 6-mile stretch west of Clam Lake on State Trunk Highway 77. And the system is designed where it receives each receiving station, and there's 3 of these spaced every 2 miles. Each receiving station, if it receives a signal a mile down the highway in one direction and a mile down the highway in the other direction, and then 300 yards on either side of the highway, it'll trigger that receiving station to give an electrical impulse that activates the lights at an elk crossing sign right at the receiving station, and then also at a sign a mile down the road in one direction and a mile down the road in the other direction. So each receiving station triggers 3 lighted signs that have a suggested speed limit on them of 45 miles an hour with an elk crossing text sign there. Since we installed that system on December 19th of 2006 to the present date, we've had 2 elk vehicle collisions within that zone. The year before, we had 5 verified elk vehicle collisions. I think from what we've seen in the experiences of other eastern states like Pennsylvania and Michigan and Arkansas, who started their populations with a relative low number, and currently today are looking at of numbers of animals from around 500 to 1,100 animals, that there's potential for long-term production of the herd. And we want to assure that our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and future generations will be able to enjoy elk here in Wisconsin.